But so conflicting is all this legislation, and so difficult to understand in the concept of the GCSB Act generally, that the real protection for New Zealanders is the incompetence of the legislation, which has led the GCSB to conclude that for reasons of being safe, they basically don't look, even if they suspect somebody may be a New Zealander. Now, what does that mean in practice? Let me give you a couple of examples, which are not entirely hypothetical. Let us suppose a New Zealander is in imminent danger in terms of their life overseas, maybe lost at sea or some other example. Under this legislation, as the GCSB feels it has to interpret it, the GCSB's capacity to trace an individual cell phone and to say exactly where it is cannot be used. We have no way of finding out where that person is using that capacity in order to take immediate and urgent action in whatever way to try to protect the safety of that New Zealander. Doesn't seem very sensible. If communications indicate that a person who may be a New Zealander is operating within ISIL-held territory, because they may be a New Zealander, there is some indication the GCSB capacity is not able to be used any further to even establish whether it is highly likely they are a New Zealander. That is the effect of the current legislation. Now, there is a point here where we have to try to get a clear balance in the legislation to make sense of all of this. The government, in effect, is almost placed in a position of failing in its duty to protect the lives of New Zealanders because the legislation is simply not clear enough. The real issue is, if we change the law so that the capacity can be used, what are the constraints on the use of that power, given that the SAS can already do it, and what is the level of oversight in the use of that power to protect the privacy and the rights of New Zealanders to go about their ordinary everyday business without fear. That is the balancing job the legislation has to engage in. We are not proposing a vast extension of power. We are really proposing to rationalise between the two different agencies what are conflicting and contradictory powers in the interest of getting a sensible outcome in that regard.